Hey, Mitch.
Hey, Ed, what's up?
Hey, can you believe it? It's been 34 years since Robocop premiered.
Oh, man, I love Robocop. It's
Yeah,
one of my
yes.
favorite movies.
Yeah, same here. You know, I'm even named after one of the robots in it.
Oh, the guy's name's Alex Murphy. Who are you named
No,
after?
no, no. Ed 209. That's named after me.
Uh-huh.
I've even got my own robot, an Ed 209. Do you want me to grab it?
Yeah, come on. I love it. Let's see
All
it.
right. All right. Come on. In you come.
Wow.
Now put up. Do you have a gun or something like that, just to threaten it?
I got a banana. Will that do?
Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, and just point it at it.
Okay.
Please put down your weapon.
Oh, wow, that really does work.
You better drop it.
Oh, okay.
You now have 15
Hey, wait, Ed. I think
seconds
that
to
thing's not
comply.
working right.
Physical force.
I'm very disappointed.
I'm sure it's just a glitch. Hi, this is Ed Dollister.
And this is Mitch Halleck.
And welcome to another exciting episode of Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for joining us. If you're a regular viewer, thank you so much for coming back, and hope you enjoy today's topic. If you're, sort of going, how can I find out a little bit more about our show and what we do? What can you do, Mitch?
Oh, Ed, it is simple as pressing a button and wiping out an entire memory from a police officer who gave his life to protect the city. All you have to do is smash the subscribe button on the bottom, and you, dear viewer, will be subscribed to Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure and know whenever we go on another trip somewhere into the past of movies, TV, toys, and more, right here on the almighty YouTube. And while you're there, by the way, hit the like button too, because it makes us feel good.
That's right.
Warm
It does. It makes us warm and fuzzy, which is really nice. And we're talking about a film which is not warm or fuzzy at all. It is cold and violent, but It's got a nice little bit of a satirical, humorous thread through it. And we're talking about 1987's Robocop. Did you see Robocop in the cinemas?
I did. I was all excited to see it on a Friday night. I dragged my now wife, but then girlfriend to it, and she was like mortified because it wasn't a rom-com at all. There was a little romance in there, but it was one of the most violent movies we'd ever seen in our life, and I loved every minute of it, Ed. It was fantastic. It was like a comic book, western, sci-fi, monster movie, you name it, and a comedy of all things. There's a lot of humor, a sick, dark humor, but there's a lot of funny stuff in Robocop. So yes, to answer your question, I did see it and I loved it. I saw it 2 or 3 times that summer.
Yeah, I remember seeing it. It was I don't think it was rated. Maybe it was rated R.
It was rated R.
In Australia, it was rated. It's a bit hard to see there with the rated R, but it says medium level violence, and I'm going, hang on a second.
Well, you guys, you're Australian. You're founded by
everything can kill you out here. So
everything, spiders, snakes, koalas.
That's right. Dangerous cyborgs. So when I went to see it, I just remember enjoying it, but I was, no pun intended, blown away by the ultra violence. I've never seen people get shot up so chunkily.
Dude.
And it was, I suppose it predates until after that was, like this came out in 1987. Die Hard was 1988, I believe, wasn't it?
Christmas,
so that's when I remember, people getting shot up and you really saw it. I was not privy to those sort of, those super violent films in mainstream cinema.
No, not at all.
it was, yeah, it was super violent, but as you said, it had an interesting sort
Well,
of
you know,
satirical
it's even
thread going
funnier.
through. Yeah.
It was even more violent than what we saw. Well, I don't know about you in Australia if they like re-edited it on an international cut. They might have, but here in the States, you know, it was pretty brutal. And then it came out on DVD. Well, no, I think it was VHS, then DVD later on with added footage and recut. And it was even more violent. And I've even seen another version, I think, on TV now or download or digital, whatever the hell you call it nowadays. It's, I mean, it's beyond. The murder of Alex Murphy is like one of the goriest scenes they ever filmed. I think even the people on set, if I recall, got sick because it was, you know, it's a model. It's makeup
Rob Bottin.
Rob Bottin, yeah. I mean, it was beyond realistic that the actors were like, okay, that's too much. We don't want to see that. I mean, heads getting blown off and arms getting blown off, and it was nasty. But yeah,
His hand
anyway,
being shot.
his hand, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
It was yes.
So that was in your version. You saw that.
Yes.
You saw the
Yes.
hand getting,
I
but
did.
you didn't see
that.
the head getting blown away, right? Like the whole head. Okay. That was later on, I think.
Because here's a secret for our viewers. We're not really big into violent films, are we? Like we're not a.
Not really. No, I don't go for those slasher and axe hack 'em up movies. No, not really.
No. And I've got to say, the violence in this film is so over the top. It's so comic book like,
cartoony. Yeah,
it is. It sort of takes away that, but it's still pretty horrendous. The director Paul Verhoeven, who was saying in the making of it that he wanted to show the consequences. He hated to see people, you know, shooting a gun but not, you know, you just saw someone fall away. He wanted to show what the consequences was. And
that was at that Miami Vice style, because that was right around now too. Miami Vice was a big show on TV. You'd get people blown away with shotguns at point blank range, and they would just fall down, and there'd be no blood at all. So it's like that's not really how it's going to be. So yeah, I could see what he was getting at there.
I'd buy that for $1.
Newmeyer and his buddy Mike Miner came along, who was also thinking about some sort of policeman story with robotics involved, and they basically melded it together and came up with the idea of Robocop. They shipped it around, but no one was really interested in the story, mainly because of the title, because it seemed like such a schlocky title. They gave it to directors and everyone. No one was interested. They eventually approached Paul Verhoeven, who had done, I think it was Fire and Blood, and was quite a well-respected director.
Oh, wait a minute. That Rutger Hauer movie with the Jennifer Jason Leigh? That's him, right?
I believe
that's a very violent movie. Yeah, if that's the one you're talking about. It was like a medieval type of sword picture with Rutger Hauer. That's got a lot of violence, a lot of sex in it too. But.
So he seemed like a bit of a natural fit, but he wasn't exactly taken by the idea. And he basically threw the script on the floor and said, no, I'm not going to do it. His wife picked it up and read through it and essentially said, no, I think you might like this. There's a lot of violence in it. That got him on board. So it was quite an interesting take on, it was a bit of a schlocky film. I think that's what a lot of people were concerned with. It's going to be just,
well, I don't think they had a big budget. I think they were going with like $10 million, and maybe they got up to 19 million or something.
They did. It kept expanding the budget once they saw like the dailies in it and how good it seemed to appear on screen. And they had a lot of talent behind it. It was a believable thing set in Detroit in the not too distant future, where crime was taking place. And,
they got
it was basically hell on earth.
Well, no, the whole big thing was, and it's so funny nowadays, it's almost like a real thing, where they didn't want to have the Detroit police there anymore. They went and got an outside company to become the new police. OCP.
Yes, Omni Consumer Products.
Yeah, but they said, oh, you know what? We could do policing as well. So they came up with Robocop, which was going to be the whole wave of law enforcement of the future that would replace the local cops and the municipalities and bring in these robot cops. I had heard that Ed Niemeyer worked on Blade Runner, and when he saw the Sid Mead designed Spinner, which was the flying police car, his mind started imagining what it would be like if there was robot police officers in the future. And that was kind of the beginnings of the idea for Robocop. And then he'd fleshed it out as it
That's
came along.
absolutely. And he and Michael Miner, they came together and that developed the story of Robocop. The most iconic thing really about the movie is the design of Robocop. He's quite an iconic design by Rob Bottin. And Rob Bottin, you know, from The Thing, and he's a makeup designer extraordinaire. They worked really hard on trying to get a design for it. And Peter Weller, who we know from The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai, who came on to play the role of Robocop or Alex Murphy.
Yeah, there was a lot of people. Yeah, they were looking.
Yeah,
for
they
people.
were. They were.
Well,
They
you
were
know
looking,
what's weird?
Yeah,
I was going to say real quick. Another Peter Fonda, for some reason, kept showing up and kept trying out, wanted to be RoboCop, and they're like, "No, we got this. We're good, Peter Fonda." So he kept coming in and reading for us.
They were looking at Arnold Schwarzenegger at one point.
Yeah,
because obviously with Terminator, and they actually
I was gonna say they didn't get him because one Terminator just came out, but they thought it was too big. Like he looked like the Michelin Tire Man, from what I heard, because he's a bigger guy, and Peter Weller's more of a svelte type of actor and stuff.
Absolutely. They were looking also at Michael Ironside, and he came very close to playing the role, but again, he was a bit too bigger character. And Peter Weller, you know, he's not a slight statured actor, but he does martial arts, and he was very keen to work with a mime artist to create the moves for Robocop, and they worked for months together on this. However, Rob Bottin's design took such a long time to get, and they made all these bad decisions, so they only got the suit on the first day of filming, and of course it took 11 hours for him to get into costume. And as a result of that, he said, I can't do this. I can't film, you know, and they had to shut down production for a little while so he could get used to moving and everything like that. It was a very difficult shoot for him because it was so restrictive, the costume, and how hot it was in where they were filming in Dallas as well at the time.
Yeah. But the thing of it is, though, that gave them time to do all those other bits. So all that like satirical stuff you see in Robocop, I'll buy that for $1.
I'd buy that for $1.
For the newscast and all that.
TJ Laser. I like
TJ, all those TV commercials and all that weird stuff that went on in the background. That's the thing that they worked on, why they were trying to figure out the difficulties with the suit and how they were going to get around it. Because like you said, Peter Weller could not move like he thought he was going to do. So he had to like limit his movements and, you know, more robotic. And that's how they got that across. But it's, like I said, it's one of those stupid accidents that actually benefits the show, because those are one of the things people remember. When you say RoboCop, I remember all the things like, you know, Johnny Bazooka or something like that. There's like a kid's toy that's like this big weapon, and then I'll buy that for $1, the game shows and all these weird things that are going on in that world. So, you know, it worked.
I like the board game Nuke that you could play. The whole family could play. There was a variety of all these different satirical ads, the 6000 SUX, all these sort of things that really paint a picture and were tongue in cheek. But I'm not sure a lot of people, maybe not everyone, got them.
Well, no, see, that's why I told you I thought it was funny as hell, because it was like a bizarre Saturday Night Live, Mad Magazine type of sci-fi movie. You know, it's like it was out there. You know, it wasn't as serious as like the Terminator and Aliens and all that stuff. It was like a crazy, wacky world. So
yes,
it's like the one we live in now. So
that's right. And there's a really good cast. Nancy Allen, well, she was in Carrie. We of course know her from 1941. And also I Want to Hold Your Hand.
Wasn't she married to Brian De Palma, the director? I believe she was.
She was in
Blowout.
Was it Blowout? Yeah,
with John Travolta. Yeah, she was in a
lot
great
of film. That's a great film.
It is. It's a remake of another one called Blow Up, which is a French film, but that's another story. But yeah, no, Nancy Allen, I'm gonna say she was married to Brian De Palma.
Well, you know, she was in I Want to Hold Your Hand and 1941 with your buddy Eddie Deason.
That's right. Hey, I love Eddie. But no. And then there's the father from the 70s show,
Kurtwood Smith.
Yes, he got to play the bad guy, which
who
is
is such an evil villain. I mean, I suppose that's what makes their payoffs, you know, and the violence at the end on these people, you know, pay off, because when they die, they really
Oh, they really get the comeuppance and stuff.
They really
No,
die.
there's Ray Weiss is the other guy. He was in Twin Peaks. He was one of the bad guys. He's got dark hair.
Yes,
He's in
he
there.
was
He
Laura
was Laura
Palmer's.
Palmer's father. Yeah,
Yes.
Leland Palmer.
Yes,
And I'm trying to. There was the other guy who gets mutated and gets run over and he explodes like a rotten tomato. He was on that show.
he was
I'm
on
gonna say
ER. He was on ER. He got killed by
crutches.
the helicopter
Yeah,
falling on top of him.
He was.
And
He's the I like it guy. When they get the giant gun and he blows up, I like it. That's him. You know. He does
he's
that line.
that whole scene is just
That's
horrendous.
nightmares, horrendous. But I can picture it like plain as day. It was gross, but it was funny at the same time. I mean, it was like Toxic Avenger kind of trauma
Yes.
films cheesiness. And I'm trying to think. Ed Hurley was one of the people that worked there at the end of the movie. He's the guy from The Last Starfighter that played the alien. He shows up and
he plays Grigg, doesn't he? In the Last
yeah. What's your name, son? Yeah. No, but I'm trying to think of Ronnie Cox. That's it. Ronnie Cox is Dick. What's his name?
Jones.
Dick Jones. That's right, Dick Jones. And they're all like turning on each other. And Miguel Ferrer is great in that. And there was another guy I thought that they double crossed in there. I don't know. I can't remember right now. But that was the whole thing too. It was all that corporate nonsense.
There was corporate wars
backstabbing.
where they were actually like, literally killing each other to climb
literally,
up the corporate ladder. And a lot of, as
Yeah.
I was saying, a lot of these actors were playing against type. Ronnie Cox was normally playing a father figure, or they were really playing.
Yeah. They were always like the goody two shoe people. So it was weird to see them swearing and dropping F-bombs and swear. I was like, there's a lot of memorable dialogue in Robocop.
There is.
Most
It has
of it we
got a lot
can't
of
say
one-liners.
Yeah, we can't even say it on the show. We'll get a censored rating.
That's right. But of course, we had Dead or Alive. You're Coming With Me.
Dead or Alive. I'll buy that for $1.
Yes.
Blank Leave. I don't want to say it there, but there's another one too. Oh, what was great? I love when Don't Say No to Drugs. Your what is it? Cooperation. Thank you for your cooperation. Doesn't he say that? Right.
You have 30 seconds to comply.
And speaking of that, that's Ed 209. Is it Ed 90?
Ed 209.
Ed 209, made by
Phil Tippett.
Phil Tippett from Empire Strikes Back and Star Wars model making fame. And it looks now, I got to admit, that's one thing that doesn't hold up. I love the movie, but even back in the 80s, it was kind of stop motion, or was it done with the go motion?
It was done with go motion, and they had rear projection at the same time, so they could. And look, for the most part, I mean, I think it's just something, but like they matched the lighting and everything like that.
Yeah, the lighting just gives it away. I mean, it was fun. It's that funny thing where it can't walk down the stairs. I mean, there's a lot of humor in it. And this big giant tank of a robot with machine guns just is afraid to walk down the stairs, and then it falls over on itself. But that thing was frightening as all hell. That Ed 209. I was always like, oh my God, that thing is horrifying.
That scene in the boardroom where they do that first introduction, and that poor
machine guns, that guy.
Poor guy gets shredded.
Oh,
and it just doesn't. It just keeps going and going.
No.
And then there's nothing left of him. And then I like the guy goes, "Quick, call a paramedic." Yeah.
I know, it's sick. We're laughing about it, but it's just like out there. And I said, and Murphy has a great story too. What his wife and his kid, and they keep showing in flashback, and he does the thing with the gun, which is like his kid's favorite.
That's that TJ Laser.
TJ Laser, yeah.
They should have got William Shatner to play him, I think, but
they should have. Hey, here's a quick question for you on the subject of RoboCop. The whole movie itself, is he really just a robot who thinks he's a guy, or is he really still a human that's just mostly 99% robot at that point? Because it's always been a little weird, because I always thought of him as a guy, like a cyborg that just had all these robot parts, but then somebody's like, no, not really. It's all a machine. I go, no, there's still Alex Murphy.
Isn't his brain in there? I think his brain
is in there. But was his face, or was that just was that his real skin?
That's his real skin, stretched over. So
Yeah, no, it's just one of these things that came up. They're like, no, he's pure robot. I'm like, that's the whole point of the movie. He's not,
That's
you
right.
know.
Hey, well,
Yeah, he still has some.
what does it say on the poster? Part machine, part man,
Yeah,
all cop. Isn't that
all
the tag?
romance. Yeah, I don't know.
So
No, it just came up because I'm like, I never really thought of it as anything but that, but I
yeah,
don't know.
and
Sometimes
look,
two people can watch the same movie and two different ideas are coming out. I'm like,
true.
really?
So the film came out. It was I've got to say the great score by Basil Polidorus, who did
Oh yeah.
probably best known for Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, is
amongst
that the
many other
same
films.
guy?
Yeah.
Oh, because I swear that's that music you just hum. Even though the car he was driving was a Ford Taurus, which is not the most boss bitchinest muscle car you could ever have, but he just so big when he gets out of that car. It's like, I guess that's the only thing they could figure out for him to drive. But
He couldn't actually because the costume was so
he
big
couldn't
and
get out of the
bulky,
car.
he couldn't he only had the top half on when he was driving.
Oh no! I just remember like the door would open and you see the foot like chikung.
Yes,
I'm like, oh,
you
maybe
just see
they
you'd sort of
they
just see
edited
the
it.
foot. You wouldn't see
Oh.
the whole thing. But
Oh
I've
no!
got
And then the music was great. It had that industrial like bang, like somebody took a hammer on top of a pipe. Is dun 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 bang dun 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 dun. Oh, now that you said it's Conan, I can't stop thinking about that. It is Conan the Barbarian.
yeah.
Huh.
So the interesting thing I found out, look, so I binge watched all three RoboCop movies yesterday, and
Okay.
and we'll talk a bit about RoboCop 2 and 3 and beyond in a minute. But the
Yeah.
film, while it was successful, it made $55 million at the US box office. It actually wasn't like a huge hit.
No.
It was moderately successful, I think.
It came out the end of summer. It wasn't
Yeah.
like it wasn't like early July or
There was
June. It
Predator out that year.
Yeah.
Crocodile Dundee.
What else was big that summer? Was that Humphrey?
Batteries? No, that was
Batteries
90s.
not included? No.
I think that was 87. Not that anyone remembers that film, but
No, that wasn't a big hit.
No.
No, I can't remember 87 what the big movie was that year, but it definitely was. It was RoboCop was there, but there was probably a big summer movie. I can't recall.
I think Predator was probably the bigger one of
Even that wasn't really a huge hit. I mean, there was a lot of movies that were doing well, but there wasn't one that just jumped out of the foray there. I keep thinking RoboCop came out in August in the United States. I'm thinking it's a late summer release. And that's kind of when they used to put movies that they didn't really have a lot of confidence in that were going to be huge. And they just got it out the door because, fall was coming and you didn't want to be out in September and October. That was death.
Yep.
And this was not a holiday Christmas family movie. So they weren't going to put RoboCop out at November, December time.
No.
So
I suppose.
No, but it was enjoyable. I remember, like I said, I saw it a couple times and I couldn't wait to see the sequel. But
I think given the rating of it, what it was, R-rated films traditionally didn't make as much money as like a G or NRC or PG or what have you, because they don't get all the kids coming in. But it's funny.
Well, go on.
Yeah, you go.
No, I was going to say the weirdest thing you just said that there was a RoboCop cartoon.
Yes,
and there was RoboCop toys for little kids, and I remember seeing them at a KB toy store, and I was like, well, one, it was cool to get a figure of RoboCop. That was
don't let Robbie hear you say that.
Robbie the RoboCop fell over too. He was shocked. But the problem is, it's a rated R. It's a hard R movie.
Yeah,
like Rambo. They were like making toys for little kids, and I'm like, okay, I don't think little kids should be watching RoboCop. I'm not, father of the year, but that was pretty violent to be letting little Johnny watch people get machine gunned and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So there was a cartoon. I don't know I don't know if it came after RoboCop 2, but there was
around that time there's been a few animated series. So once RoboCop was deemed successful, they decided to work on a sequel. The original writers were asked to come back, but they, the studio differed with what they wanted to the storyline. Paul Verhoeven passed on it because he went on to do Total Recall.
That's it. Yeah.
Yep, in 1990. And of course, we know him as well from we were saying off air, Starship
Yeah.
Troopers as well later on. That was
which I
97.
told you has a lot of that same humor where it's like, want to know more? And they have all that TV stuff. So it's almost like Starship Troopers could be in the same universe.
Yes, it
as
wouldn't
like
surprise
years
me
before.
actually.
Yeah. It was the same writer we found out by accident. I was like,
That's
hey, this
right.
is the same guy. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Ed
same
Niemeyer.
tone. Yeah. Violent as hell too.
Yeah,
Starship Troopers. So it's right along there.
you're
But yeah,
absolutely
RoboCop
right.
2, I know something about it because Frank Miller, who's a huge comic book artist and writer
Yes.
who did Daredevil and Batman Dark Knight Returns, they got him to do the script for it. And I was like, oh, this is great. Frank Miller's a great comic book creator. He'll be fantastic. The execution's just not there. And honestly, I'm going to say a lot of it has to do with the casting because there's some really bizarre choices in that film. Like the mayor's back, he's fine. But then there was this young boy, but that was because they had Nuke. I can't stop beating up my stuff. But Nuke was the drug, you know?
Yeah.
And it was just one of those, keep going. You'll edit that out. So leave it in.
You know what was funny about New? So we should say it had a lot going for it. It had a bigger budget. The director,
It did. It had a new Ed 209.
yeah,
You know?
which was pretty impressive. Irvin Kershner,
RoboCop had a new suit.
yes, Irvin Kershner, the director of The Empire Strikes Back,
That's who directed it. Oh yeah, that's why I was like, oh, this is going to be a great
came
movie.
back.
We got
Most of the
Kirshner.
original cast came back, but the villain of it was this hippie drug dealer who was dealing in Nuke, who actually was the same.
That's Tom Noonan. That's Tom Noonan from Manhunter, who played not Buffalo Bill. The guy that was, oh yes. Oh
He
wait,
was-
the Tooth Fairy. He's the Tooth Fairy from the first Hannibal Lecter movie.
He was also the bad guy from Last Action Hero.
He's also the Frankenstein, I believe, from Monster Squad, because I've met him years ago at a convention and we started talking about Manhunter, that film with William Peterson as
That's right. Yes, from CSI.
Agent Will Graham. Yeah, but you're right. He was the bad guy drug dealer in this movie.
And
He's a good actor. But
Yeah, and interestingly, he was in Monster Squad. The director of Robocop 3 directed Monster Squad. Fred Decker.
see, it's all there's only like 6 people in Hollywood.
That's right.
But you know what the problem was? It was disturbing to see the young kid shooting, killing people. He became like
he
this
was
drug
he was
lord. It
strangling
the mayor.
Nancy.
Oh no, Nancy Allen. Yeah. But didn't he shoot the mayor or something? I remember he had a gun.
It was pretty. Look, watching it again.
It just didn't work. You know what
No.
I'm saying? As weird, as obscene, as sadistic as RoboCop 1 was, it went with it because it was adult humor and he laughed about it. But it was off-putting to have this young kid.
Yes, I think
be the
that
bad
was
guy.
a misfire with regards to some of
Yeah.
it. Like the visual effects sequences were really quite good. I know Peter Weller was disappointed
No,
that the
just-
third act didn't. It was just him.
No.
destroying the
You know
giant
what's bad
robot.
about that? It's about that CGI. There was early CGI. It kind of looked like Lawnmower Man, where they put the guy that created Nuke. They put his brain inside
Yes.
the other robot thing, and you saw it on the screen.
Yeah,
It looks, even for the 80s or early 90s, I think that was like 1990.
1990.
It was bad special effects. It was bad computer graphics, vector graphics, I think they used to call them. I just remember it was just lousy. There was no fun of it. And doesn't RoboCop ride a motorcycle in this one? Or am I jumping ahead? There is some kind of car chase in it, and it's like, wow, he's really big and fat on that thing. Like he did not fit.
He was riding a fat boy. That's why.
No, maybe I'm thinking of RoboCop 3. No, RoboCop 2, he had a motorcycle. RoboCop 3, he flies.
Yes,
that's
we'll get to
another
that. We'll get to that. Chris.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So I didn't
RoboCop-
like this one. Yeah, it was
RoboCop
disappointing.
2 was considered a
Violent.
disappointment. It actually didn't do too badly.
Really?
But it was not a big hit. So at the same time, they were developing an animated series, which was a bit more of a kid-friendly TV series.
Right?
That's when they brought out the toys. There was RoboCop and the what was it? Not the Unlimited Police. or
Temple of
something like-
Doom?
No, they had a number of animated cartoon spin-offs that
They did. They did.
that were very, kid
Well,
friendly.
he had a Marvel comic that lasted about 25 issues because
Yep.
they were trying to adapt it to a younger crowd. They had a bunch of miniseries. But one of the things they came out with, which would have been an amazing movie, but they never did it. Real quick, there was a comic book by Walt Simonson, who's a friend with Frank Miller's actually. I think Frank Miller worked on the story
He
too.
did.
It was RoboCop teams up with or versus Terminator.
Yeah.
That's just crazy, but it was fantastic though. The artwork was great, and the story idea that the Terminators came back in time, and that whole technology where they have the cyborg. It's like, oh, that's
Yes.
RoboCop. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. But
And
there
they
were
did a
some
video
good
game based
sequels.
on that as well.
Yeah, there's good sequels to RoboCop, but unfortunately, they're not on the big screen. They're more of a comic book graphic novel type of thing. So
Yeah, they really watered it down. Then they brought out there was a
Mm-hmm.
TV series, RoboCop
There was.
series.
yeah, but
Which-
that's after RoboCop 3, right?
So it doesn't. Oh yeah, we haven't spoken about RoboCop 3.
Yeah. You
RoboCop
gotta
3
go.
basically it was filmed in 1991, but Orion went into solvency or whatever happened with it.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
company
yeah,
dissolved. So it came out 1993, 94.
Yeah,
Peter Weller couldn't come back because he
didn't want to
working
come
on-
back.
Well,
No.
from what I read, and he said he was interested in coming back, but he was doing the Naked Lunch, the
Cronenberg movie.
the
Yeah.
David Cronenberg film, so he couldn't do it. So they got another actor to come in. Nancy Allen wasn't very happy because she ended up, spoilers, getting shot to death in it.
Yeah.
It was about who I was interesting. There was
Rip Torn was in it.
Rip Torn, yes.
Who was also
They had-
from
Connecticut, of course.
he was before he passed away. He robbed a bank here in Connecticut and got in trouble.
Real-
It's a true story. Yeah, that's why you never saw Rip Torn anymore. He was drunk and he broke into a bank saying he thought it was open and he tried to get money from it. And you can't break into a bank. That's a bad thing to do here.
No.
And he got in some serious trouble, and then he had some issues, and that was all she wrote, and that was it for Rip Torn. He passed away, I think, about a year or two ago.
Yeah. Oh, well, I did not know that.
That's
So,
true.
The more you know. So RoboCop this time was played by Robert Burke. Nancy Allen, as we said, had come back and everything like that. But Lee Arenberg from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, really?
He was in
Yeah.
it. There was a few. CCH Pounder was in it. There's a few little Mako was in it. There was Ninja.
Mako's in RoboCop 3?
Mako is, yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that.
There was Ninja Robots who
Ninja
had some-
Robots, yeah.
but they
it was
had, I've got to
stupid.
say, when he got sliced up, this Ninja Robot, the makeup was fantastic.
Oh,
and-
but the problem is, you know what the big problem with RoboCop 3 is? They made it PG-13.
Yeah.
They try to go down to a younger audience. So they lost a lot of the violence, which was what RoboCop was all about. But yeah, they watered the story down. It was just goofy.
It's not great. It's really
No,
not a great
no.
film. So, for completists, sure. I got
Yeah.
it in a box set,
Honestly,
but-
I've never sat through the whole thing. I've seen bits of it. I know the story, but I've never watched it end to end. And I love RoboCop. I can't sit through that one. It's just bad.
yeah, it was pretty horrendous. The TV series came
Oh, the
around that
TV
time
series that was pretty good actually. They had Prime Directive, it was called.
Yes.
It was like a couple of miniseries. Was that the same guy from RoboCop 3? Did he
No,
play
that was a different guy again.
Oh, because that wasn't so bad, but they brought this like little kid character on there, like all shows do. She was this like street urchin. I can't remember. Her name was like Cricket or something like that. Junebug. I don't know, but
It's on
Yeah.
DVD, but it's not. It's
is
not
Nancy Allen on
fantastic.
it?
No,
No.
you just didn't know what happened. Basically, there was essentially it happened. It's sort of a race. You didn't mention RoboCop 2 or 3 or anything like
No,
that. Her
no.
character, they
It
assumed
wasn't
she had
that
died.
bad though. It was on like Sci-Fi Channel here.
Yeah, it just was pretty low
Yeah.
rated and didn't
Yeah.
only lasted 20 or so episodes. And
It
then
wasn't-
I suppose fast forward to the reboot in
Oh, the remake.
2014.
With Joel
Yes.
Kinnaman. Is that his name?
Yes, from Suicide Squad. It's got
Yeah.
a good cast. Samuel L. Jackson.
Jack Earl Haley.
Yeah, Michael Keaton. is in it.
Michael Keaton. That's right. He's the bad guy. He's
Abby
like the Dick
Cornish,
Jones.
but it was awful. It wasn't great.
Well, I saw it in the theater. I took my kid to see it. Like, oh, this is gonna be great. RoboCop's the best, and they got rid of all the humor. They got rid of all the thing that made RoboCop so great. It was just another cop action sci-fi movie type of thing, and you were like, okay, whatever.
Again,
and that one there, they got more into like if he was human. It almost looked like Anakin Skywalker. I'll give him that though, because the effects where they showed his like heart and his lungs inside the casings of the RoboCop suit. I mean, it was really horrific. It totally looked like what Darth Vader should look like.
Yes.
If in the movies. And the head was barely hanging on. I think they just put it, and he got a hand.
Yes, he
which
did
is
have
the thing that they cut off in the first RoboCop when they saved his hand. And then Miguel Ferrer says, what's that? They we saved his hand, lose the hand, and they chop his hand off.
Yeah.
That was the other thing we forgot to mention. A lot of that visual that you see in RoboCop 1 with the screen and the heads-up display, that was because, as we said, they had so much trouble with the suit. They worked around it, so they gave you the POV shots of RoboCop's how he sees the world, only because they couldn't do anything else. You know,
that was very effective. How it sort of and showed what contempt that the people from OCP had for their creation, which was really interesting. I think there's. We've spoken a little bit about the toys. There's, I think Reaction have brought out, they've brought out the Toxic Waste guy. They've brought out quite a few figures. I see you've got there. Island Toys had some. The Kenner also brought them out for the animated series.
They did.
And they were quite good because they used the caps, the paper roll of caps that you could do that, which was kind of cool, I think.
It was. You don't do that nowadays. They don't have cap pens now. No. And then of course you can't be real unless you have a Funko Pop. And I realized I had that. And they did Ed 209, but I did not buy the Ed 209 Funko. That thing is still around at the comic book shop. I just saw an Ed 209. It's like one of those subtle things that if you know, you know. You know what I mean? You see, you're like, what is that? But no. Is there a new RoboCop coming out? I mean, is there any talk about another movie?
No, not from what I think. After the 2014 film sort of flopped, then that's it. You know what I feel like? RoboCop's a bit like Terminator. They keep trying to push it onto us. The original is the best, and obviously Terminator 2 is very good. But I feel like that's it.
It's like Indiana Jones. But anyway, now.
Our next episode is going to be on Temple of Doom. Okay.
I figured you'd get me back for that one, but no, I don't know. It's like you said, it stands alone. The first one's the best. The second one is not good. The third one is disastrous. The TV shows are hit or miss. And like I said, the couple of the comic books are really, really enjoyable. I never played the video game though. I always wish I did, but I just didn't have. Was it on Sega or was it on Super Nintendo?
It was Mega Drive, Game Gear. It was.
They had two. They had a RoboCop and Terminator, but they also had just a strange.
They just had RoboCop, which was a platformer and things like.
I'm going to ask you, board game?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Okay. All right.
They did have. In fact, I had. I've been. I don't have any more. I don't think I've got them anymore. But boxes of. I had like a case of RoboCop 2 baseball card, the trading cards.
Oh yeah, the trading cards. Yeah.
I had a box of boxes of those all sealed that we used to sell. They had trading cards and a few things like that, but nothing too much.
No, I'm trying to think if they ever made the headpiece for the costume. Oh, one little note, they actually in Detroit itself, even though the movie takes place in Detroit, it's actually filmed in Dallas. Detroit's had some rough times in the last couple of years, but they were doing a fundraiser thing to get tourism. They were going to erect a RoboCop statue and put it in the center of town, like near the town hall. I think it actually got built.
I think that's a cool idea.
I know. It's like, hey, come and see. Like there's Metropolis, Illinois, and they have a Superman statue. And I think there's even a statue where like James T. Kirk is supposed to be born in Iowa. So you go there and there's an Indiana Jones statue out there. There's a Yoda statue out in a couple parks out there. So why not have a RoboCop statue? There's a Batman statue in England in Trafalgar Square now. So
there's one of me in the town square in Geelong. So,
this isn't even me right now. I'm just artificial. Wait till my Funko Pop comes out. But anyway, RoboCop's a good little gem of the 80s. Like you said, it's of its time, but it's kind of timeless. I mean, you can watch it now.
Yeah, and if you're still, if you're a bit too young, maybe wait a little bit, till you're
Yeah.
at least
Well,
17
nowadays
or
the
18.
kids, they see things like when they're 9 months old.
Ah,
That is like rougher than what we watch.
it's still pretty shocking.
Yeah, well, I gotta admit that one scene, like I told you, where they execute Alex Murphy is one of the
Which the director said was supposed to be a bit Christ-like of him, being crucified.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they've got his resurrection. And there's even that scene where at the very end, before he kills Kurtwood Smith and all the stuff falls on top of him, he's walking on water. There's a scene. So
I never thought of that. Yeah. But I don't remember Jesus getting his head blown off. That's just me. But yeah. And he wasn't married with a kid. But
No.
sure, I can see the Christ analogies.
It doesn't have to
I'm
be.
just saying, sure. No, but I believe it. Alex. I was gonna say Alex P. Murphy, but that's Alex.
Alex B. Keaton.
Yeah, that's a different show.
That's right.
But RoboCop, go watch it. Do
Yeah.
yourself a favor.
And
That's
if
all
you want to
I got.
watch more of our show, how can you find out more when we get a new show, or just have a look at what else we've got?
Oh, it's easy as buying it for $1. Ed, just subscribe to our show. Go check out all the other episodes. We have like almost 50 shows right now.
I think this is like episode 48 or something like that. So
Yeah,
we're
well,
pretty good.
we can fudge it. If you count you drinking that soda, I think it's up there. But
That's
yeah,
right. We've lasted longer than the Robocop series, at least.
we
So that's
have.
really nice.
Yeah, we have. We have better special effects actually than RoboCop. It's true.
Yeah.
So yeah, just join up and follow us along while we go look for
And
new
again,
stuff.
yeah, absolutely. And if you've got an idea for a show you want us to talk about, a particular movie, or if there's a collectible from our collection that you go, I'd really like you to do a deep dive on, maybe one of your Kenner action figures or something like that, we'd be, always happy to do.
Wait till we
stuff
do
like
the
that.
whole Jar Jar Binks episode. That's going to be a good one. All the Jar Jar merchandise I still have. Yeah. Nobody
Great.
wants it.
Yeah,
We'll call that episode Jar Jar and the Landfill of Doom.
that's right.
Or the
I
never
like
ending
it.
landfill.
Yeah, we might do that. That would be good. So that's it for RoboCop. Go watch it.
Hey, is there a Christmas ornament? Did Hallmark make a Christmas ornament? Look it up.
If there is, I'll put it in right
Now.
And if it's not, we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. This is Ed Dollister.
And this is Mitch Halleck saying thank you for your cooperation.
That's right. See ya.